66 minutes. That's how long Jasmine Paolini needed to dismantle Maria Sakkari in the third round. She lost 11 points on serve the entire match. 11. And somewhere in the locker room after that demolition, she has to sit down and prepare for a 21-year-old who already beat her this year, who just ended the defending champion's title defense on center court, and who hasn't dropped a set since the opening day of this tournament. That's the match we're talking about today. Monday, July 6th. Center court. First match of the day, 1:30 p.m. British summertime. Alex Eala against Jasmine Paolini. A place in the Wimbledon quarterfinals on the line. And before we go anywhere else, let me tell you exactly where you can watch this live. Because if you miss it, you'll regret it. In the Philippines, it's beIN Sports. In the UK, it's the BBC, free, over-the-air, no excuses. ESPN and the Tennis Channel have it covered in the United States. Australia, you're looking at Channel 9 and Stan Sport. Canada, TSN and RDS. India, Star Sports. South Africa, SuperSport. And if you're anywhere else in the world, Wimbledon broadcasts in over 200 territories. Find your local broadcaster because this is not a match to catch the highlights of after the fact. Now, here's what makes this particular fourth round so unusual, and why I've been thinking about it since Saturday evening. We have a player in Paolini who was playing in the Wimbledon final 2 years ago. She knows what center court sounds like when the roof is closed and the stakes are suffocating. She knows the walk from the locker room. She knows how the ball sits up differently on that particular patch of grass compared to every other court at the All England Club. That experience is not theoretical. It's stored in her body. But we also have a player in Eala whose body is currently storing something else entirely. Momentum so dense and accumulating so fast that it's reshaping how everyone around her is playing. Maya Joint couldn't handle it. Iga Swiatek, the defending champion, the world number 3, couldn't handle it. Not on Saturday. Not when Eala was saving set points, cracking passing shots, and then in a moment I keep replaying, slipping on the grass, sticking her racket out while prone, somehow getting the ball back into play. That kind of thing isn't coaching. That's an athlete in a state of flow that you can't manufacture. Oh, let's talk about what's actually going to happen on that court on Monday. Because there's a concrete tactical story here that the matchup is screaming at us. Pauline's Wimbledon has been a 3-act play so far. Act 1 was nearly a disaster. Robin Montgomery bageled her in the first set of the first round. 0-6. On her opening day, as a former finalist, the 13th seed looked like someone who hadn't played competitive grass court tennis in weeks. Because, and this matters, she hadn't. The foot injury that had her in tears at Roland Garros, that forced her out of Berlin, that's been the shadow hanging over her entire 2026 season, didn't just disappear when she walked onto court 12 on June 30th. But Act 2 is what you have to understand about Paolini. She fought back. Won that Montgomery match in 3 sets, scraped through it, and by the time she was done with Golubic, a straight sets win, 7-6, 6-4, you could see the foot was moving better, the timing was returning, the smile was there again. Then Act 3, Sakkari. That 6-1, 6-2 was Paolini at her purest. Short points, lethal approaches to the net, 10 out of 12 net points won. Serve placement that turns Sakkari's return game into an afterthought. When Paolini finds that frequency on grass, she's terrifying. Andreeva's Wimbledon hasn't been a 3-act play. It's been a continuous acceleration. She won her first round match comfortably. She then fell behind against Maya Joint, losing the first set before essentially deciding the match was going to go her way, winning the second 6-2 and the third 6-0. Utterly ruthless. A scoreline that says, I had a problem. I identified it, and I solved it so thoroughly that by the end there was nothing left to solve. Then Swiatek. And listen, the Swiatek match deserves a full breakdown on its own, but here's the essential shape of it. Andreeva was in trouble in that tiebreak. Down 5-6 in the breaker, then 7-8, then saving set point at 9-10. 2 of those saves were on her own serve. but the decisive points required her to outplay Swiatek in rallies that the number 3 player in the world expected to win. Andreeva's numbers from that match, 24 winners to 21 unforced errors, are the kind of clean sheet that coaches dream about. Swiatek hit 32 winners, but made 44 unforced errors. That differential is enormous. What does that tell us about Monday? It tells us that Andreeva is currently punishing aggressive players who make mistakes. She's forcing them into uncomfortable patterns and then capitalizing on the errors that follow. But Paolini doesn't play like Swiatek. And this is the crux of the tactical battle. Paolini at her best on grass is compact. She doesn't need to swing huge to generate pace because her timing is so precise. She takes the ball early, redirects it flat, and closes space by moving forward. Her net game against Sakkari wasn't just effective, it was decisive. She chose when to come forward. She executed her volleys with clean hands. And she turned the match into a physical and temporal problem that Sakkari couldn't solve. Oh, the question on Monday becomes, can Ella do to Paolini what she did to Swiatek? Can she create that error differential? Force Paolini into overhitting? Turn her aggression against her? The Dubai match from February says yes, emphatically. Ella won that 6-1, 7-6-5. And in the opening set particularly, Paolini looked unable to find any rhythm against Ella's returning. But that was hard court. That was a Paolini still nursing the foot. That was 5 months ago. And the version of Paolini who decimated Sakkari 3 days ago is not the version Ella played in the desert. Here's what I think the match turns on. And it's not mental. It's not spiritual. It's physical and structural. Ella's serve has improved dramatically this grass season. 4 aces against Swiatek, consistent hold percentages, genuine confidence stepping up to the line. But it remains the most attackable part of her game against an elite returner. Paolini, when she's reading serves well and stepping inside the baseline to take them early, can turn service games into rallies before the server even gets to hit their second ball. If she does that to Ella, she neutralizes the baseline power advantage that Ella enjoyed against Swiatek. On the flip side, Paolini's approach game, which was so effective against Sakkari, faces a fundamentally different problem against Ella. Because Ella is one of the cleanest passers on tour right now. Against Swiatek, who came to the net 20 times and won only 9 of those points, Ella was threading angles that had no business going in. Drive volleys were being punished. Approaches down the middle were being redirected with sharp cross-court passes. If Paolini comes forward at the same rate she did against Zakharova, she's going to find a very different ball coming back at her. So, what does Paolini do? She probably has to play longer rallies than she'd prefer. She has to stay in the trenches, extend points, test whether IGA's concentration and shot selection stay this pristine through a full match against someone who doesn't give you free errors. Because that's the thing about Paolini's best tennis. It's not about hitting through you. It's about suffocating you, taking time away, making you feel like the court is shrinking. IGA's answer to that is depth. When she's locked in, her ball goes deep into the court consistently, which pushes opponents back and opens up the very angle she wants. If she can maintain depth against Paolini's pressure, she forces the Italian to play from behind the baseline, which is not what Paolini wants to be. Now, let me tell you something that hasn't been talked about enough. IGA is 7-4 against top 10 opponents and 3-0 against them on grass this season. She's won 17 grass court matches in her career and lost 8. A record that has almost entirely been built in the last 18 months. This isn't a player dabbling on a surface. This is a player whose game was constructed for grass and who is only now getting enough opportunities to prove it. The serve and volley combinations we saw against Joint in the second round. The chip and charge plays. The willingness to hit slice approach shots and follow them in. IGA doesn't just rally on grass. She constructs points that use the full geometry of the court, and she does it with variety that opponents haven't seen enough to solve. Paolini, meanwhile, is in her 6th week at a major, but her first since Roland Garros 2025. That's a significant gap. The foot injury didn't just take matches away from her, it took confidence. It took rhythm. It took the simple belief that your body will do what your brain demands when the moment requires it. The fact that she got through Montgomery's first set ambush, the fact that she found her game progressively through the rounds, that's a genuine comeback arc. But it's also true that she hasn't beaten anyone ranked in the top 30 at this tournament yet. Montgomery, Golubic, Sakkari, none of them are seeds higher than Paolini herself. Eala represents a step up in current form, even if not in raw ranking. Where can you watch this? Let me give it to you one more time. BBC in the UK. They'll likely have it front and center given it's the opening match on center court. ESPN in the US. beIN Sports in the Philippines. Star Sports in India. Channel 9 in Australia. TSN in Canada. SuperSport in South Africa. This is a center court match scheduled for 1:30 p.m. British Summertime, which means 8:30 p.m. in Manila, 8:30 a.m. Eastern in the US, 10:30 p.m. in Sydney. Set your alarms. Clear your schedule. Because here's the thing about this match that separates it from a standard fourth round. This is a story with national dimensions that go beyond tennis rankings. Eala reaching the Wimbledon quarterfinals would be the greatest achievement in Philippine tennis history. Full stop. Not just women's tennis. Tennis. For a country of 115 million people whose sporting culture revolves around boxing and basketball, Eala has single-handedly created a tennis conversation that didn't exist 5 years ago. The weight of that is enormous. But she's carrying it beautifully right now because she addressed it directly after the Swiatek win. She said, and this hit hard, this goes out to all the little girls with ruffled socks and chubby cheeks. She's aware of what she represents. She's embracing it rather than hiding from it. Paolini carries her own version of that. Italy's tennis renaissance has been real and deep. Sinner on the men's side, the Davis Cup and Billie Jean King Cup titles. And Paolini reaching a Wimbledon final in 2024 was a landmark for Italian women's tennis specifically. For her, this tournament is about proving that the foot injury hasn't permanently altered who she is as a competitor. Monday on center court, first match on, the roof might be open if London cooperates. What I tell you to watch for in the first 3 games. Does Paolini step inside the baseline on IGA's serve, or does she hang back? If she hangs back, she's giving IGA the space to command rallies, and that's where the Filipino has been lethal all tournament. If she steps in, she's gambling that her timing is sharp enough to pressure a serve that's been landing with increasing authority all fortnight. And on the other side, does IGA attack Paolini's net approaches with pace or with angles? Against Swiatek, she mixed both, blistering passing shots and delicate dips at the feet. If Paolini sees angle coming, she can adjust her volley positioning. But if she sees pace, she has to rely on reflexes. That choice, pace or angle, will tell you a lot about IGA's game plan within the first set. This match has everything. A former finalist fighting to prove her body can still match her ambition. A 21-year-old who beat the defending champion 72 hours ago and is making history with every round she survives. A tactical battle between compression tennis and expansion tennis. One player wanting to shrink the court and the other wanting to stretch it. Center court Monday 1:30 British Summertime, don't miss it.